Welcome to Beesalong.
When a bee first leaves the hive to become a gatherer, it must perform orienting flights, crawling up the side of the hive, taking off and doing loops and figures of eights, flying further away from the hive and back again. We don't really notice this very often, except when conditions are right. And thousands decide to leave at the same time. This is not to be mistaken for other bees robbing the hive. This is perfectly normal. Now, they will fly up, take notice of the horizon, the light source, any major features like buildings, big trees, the actual tree line like hedges and things along the skyline. It's even believed they can map roads, fences and power lines. Some believe they fly as much as 200 meters away from their hive for the first time. And remember, it's the hive that is their reference point. It's a very sophisticated map because it's not just north, south, east and west, but height as well. If the nest happened to be 20-25 meters up that tree somewhere, then that would actually be the reference point, and that's where they would fly back to. If the bees were able to fly straight out of the hive from its new position, they would still have the old map of their area in their heads and would then return to the old hive position. Now, by blocking off the entrance and making it difficult for them to fly straight out, they'll have to reorientate themselves and build a new map so that they can find their way back to this hive.
With the entrance of the moved hive locked, place greenery in front of it similar to this. It will prevent the bees from flying straight out, and they will have to take new orienting flights. Leave the hive for about an hour so that they can settle down after the move. Then go back and unblock the entrance. Essential that you do this, otherwise if you leave them overnight, the bees will die. Do this in the dark. Close up the entrance. Retrieve your swarm trap and bring it back to where you can work on it. Now, mine is already here in the apiary, so all I have to do is lower it down.
So I will take it down tomorrow night
and move it to its permanent position. This is the morning of day 3, I moved the hive here last night, put greenery over the entrance, and then unblocked the entrance so the bees could get out. I will leave this here until tomorrow before I do an inspection. This is the afternoon of day 4. I've removed the greenery. I've reduced the entrance size to give them a little bit more chance to protect themselves, and I'm now going to do an inspection looking for cross comb and to see how the bees are performing on the frames. I will remove the pop stick and replace any frames that the bees haven't built on with wax foundation. Bees in a swarm come fully loaded with stores, but I always feed them some 1-to-1 thin syrup, which will encourage them to actually build comb so the queen can lay her eggs faster. I'm going to be using this top feeder by Hive Doctor. I'll remove the lid and the inner cover, and this sits down on top of the brood box, and there is no reason to actually disturb the frames. Put the feeder on the hive. Make sure that any stoppers, or in this case, this excluder to stop them coming into the tray itself, pour in the syrup. Make sure there are no bees on the top of the cover, and then cover it over. Put on the hive top. I will come back in 3 days to see how much syrup they have taken. Okay, this is day 3 after feeding them. And they've taken it all. I could take off that center cap and allow them to come up and actually lick off the little residue that's left, but I'm not going to bother. From this point on, I won't actually open the hive up. I'll monitor it. Over the next 3 or 4 weeks, there will be a decline in the bees as the older field bees die off. And you won't see an increase for 4 weeks, and then they should rapidly build up. Now I will monitor by looking at the pest tray, and if I see a big increase in small hive beetles, then I probably will open up and add some traps. Even if during the next few weeks there is a nectar flow, I won't put on a super to gather honey, as the bees will be
using what they get to build up their numbers. If after 6 or 7 weeks there's a nectar flow, then I would open up and see how much room there's left in the brood. If there's very little room, then I will put a super on. But if there's plenty of room in the brood box, then I wouldn't put a super on.
I try to disturb the bees as little as possible. Good luck! For future videos and updates, please subscribe, then click the bell.